Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? It is Thursday morning, the 17th of March, which would be St. Patrick's Day. I don't own many green shirts. This is about the best I can do. So that's what I've done. I've noticed that it now has it's been on the hanger so long, it has the indentations from the hanger on my back, which doesn't look good, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm making my effort to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Well, how will I celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Do you ask? Well, I'm going to wear a shirt. I'm going to show a house at 7:30 tonight. And I am going to have corned beef and cabbage with the family at, I think, 6. Now, you say, John, are you Irish? No Irish. There's some Hungarian, some Swiss, but we're talking like pretty mixed person. I mean, this is done over centuries. You don't get this, in one particular breed. So anyway, yeah. All these holidays when I was a kid were exciting, like, yay. In college, it was like, oh, great, we can celebrate this and that. And then after that, things just started getting, for example, like, when's the last time, tonight is one of the first times we've celebrated a holiday like this in a long time. Now, there's Valentine's Day. Sure, enjoy it. I get it. I don't know. Everything is so different now. Sometimes for the better, sometimes just, I don't know. But that's where we're at. Yesterday, just lots of work. I got a subscriber. So if the subscriber is watching today, thank you. I know. I appreciate every single subscriber because even if it's a bot, because it's hard. I've found that it's very hard to get subscribers on YouTube. Like people think that you just put something on YouTube, throw it up there, and then everybody goes and subscribes and watches your content, and it's great. And it's not that way for me. It may be that way for others. Now, are there things I could be doing better? Sure. Always try to be improving, but, yeah, thank you. So 60 subscribers. I've been on YouTube pretty much since July, regularly. I split the live stream maybe 3 weeks ago onto its own channel. And I have the main channel doing, I would say it'll be a podcast format, mostly. And then if I ever start doing like interviews and stuff like that, I don't know if I'll put it on the live stream channel or if I'll put it on the podcast channel. I don't want to overwhelm people with content, but I have a friend on Twitter and he has a channel on Twitter, a following on Twitter that's pretty massive, and he posts probably, 15 times a day. So I don't know. I try to put what I think is right into my programming, into my social media strategy. And like, I don't really want to see stuff every 5 minutes from the same person. It's not interesting to me. And maybe that makes me the oddball, but anyway, so I've set everything up to where it's pretty spread out. I've got 3 YouTube channels. I'll probably have a 4th if I go forward on the live stream idea. I don't know. I want to do it, but it's hard. Like today, I'm talking to, how many people? 5. And you just have to keep grinding and grinding and grinding. That's hard. That's hard. Keep digging. One of my friends said yesterday, he said, I watched your show the other day, and it felt weird when there was only 5 other people that had watched it. And that's true. There is some social proof that we gain by having lots of views. If someone watches something and it's got 50,000 views, well, that seems like it's got some sort of, credential. Doesn't matter where the views came from. Doesn't matter if they're fake or real. It's just, look, they had 50,000 views, and then mine has like 4. Not much I can do about it. I don't particularly, I produce the content, and I'll watch the content once through, but I don't particularly want to mess with a bunch of views and stuff. It's just not my thing. So anyway, that's where I'm at today. It's the time change has not been friends with me by any stretch of the imagination. I'm still dragging. It's like Thursday, and I just hope, I don't know. Gosh, it's such a weird time. It's spring in St. Louis. Like it'll be 70 degrees, 75 degrees today, and then it's supposed to be rainy and cold tomorrow, which if it's rainy and cold tomorrow, takes the weekend equation right out of it. Like we won't have we won't be able to work in the yard or anything. And it's that time when you have to clean up stuff in the backyard and in the yard in general. Everything's all kind of, it's got leaves and it's just not good. It's not good. So I don't even know if I can get in the yard with all the showings I have this weekend, but even those are kind of going weird. And we'll talk about that. So moving forward, I wanted to go over DuckDuckGo one more time and kind of just walk through it with you and see if I'm missing something. So DuckDuckGo said that they were going to start down ranking articles on Russia, and I don't have a strong feeling about Russia or Ukraine, other than I don't want to be involved in a military conflict with either country. I don't want the United States to be involved. That's my position. So anyway, they decided they were going to downrank what they would consider misinformation. Well, that's almost always a slippery slope, and I don't think that there's like a standards-based set where they can say, oh, that's misinformation. Now, I'm all for downranking and avoiding and censoring things that are inappropriate. And you say, well, what's inappropriate to you might be different for someone else. Especially in this day and age, I 100% agree. But if I wanted to find information about something, I wouldn't want it downvoted. I would want to read a number of sources and come up with my own conclusion about what's going on. When you take one half of the equation out of the mix, it doesn't give you the full picture that you need to make good decisions. And so, because of that, I could no longer be with DuckDuckGo as my browser. Now, I've left Google. I like Google a lot, but they do things that are terrible sometimes. And the reason why I stay with them is their search most of the time is 100 times better than anyone else's, even when they manipulate the search results. So now you could say, John, you are being hypocritical because you will ditch DuckDuckGo, but you will keep Google. What's that about? Well, I would say this: DuckDuckGo is primarily a browser, primarily search. Okay. Google is got YouTube, it's got Gmail, it's got search, which I don't use. So if DuckDuckGo had different pieces of its company that were helpful to my business and helpful to me, then I would continue to, I would just not use them for search. But because they have nothing else, I have no reason to use them. So I switched over to Brave. Now, we talk about consumer choice. When I was a kid, there was this rallying cry that was vote with your pocketbook. And the idea was if somebody's doing something you didn't like, just don't spend money on it and move on down the road. Don't support those who would harm you or would seek to harm you. Don't support those who have views contrary to the beliefs that you have. And for the most part, I think I've done that. For instance, the NFL and I are not friends. The things that they've done make me want to vomit. I can't stand the NFL, and anything I could possibly do to bring that crony, disgusting epitome of the problems with the world, I would. I do care a little bit about NCAA football, but I don't really watch anything. I will read an article. I will check some things out, but they've lost me. Stuff like that. I think I've taken a stand, and I have to go with it. I have to go with it. Now, there's this question of like redemption. Like if DuckDuckGo apologized and did it sincerely, would I consider using them again? Well, if they didn't change their action, then no. But the other thing is I wanted to talk about lies. In our society at this point in time, every politician is an absolute liar. Absolute liar. I mean, just absolute liar. Every head of a major multinational corporation is a liar. They are all liars. So there is no truth in our leadership, in our in that place. Now you say, well, it depends on the type of lie and it depends on who it hurts. No, but honestly, we can't trust anything that our leaders say. We can't trust anything that corporations say. It's just gotten to that point. So if they did apologize and they were lying about it, how would you know? Well, you wouldn't. And that's just it. There's no mechanism in our society for a punishment of those people who lie, because it's done on a massive scale. And if, again, like one doesn't throw stones and live in glass houses, I believe is the expression. So, there's only so much we can do. That's why I think amongst your family, I think that, you should hope that they don't lie to you all the time, because it's like, you already deal with that in the real world. Why would you want to deal with that with your family? So on the DuckDuckGo thing, there's nothing that they can do. They've lost me. Now they could say bye. And that's a strategy that I think has come into vogue. If you are in a situation where you are losing customers or doing something, then you claim the victim status, or you take it head on and say bye, which is the one that I think I would have to take. For example, let's say I said something deeply unpopular on YouTube, but it was not an offense by YouTube's community guidelines. Okay. And I lost like 50 subscribers. I only have 60. Okay. Would that cause me to change my opinion on something? Well, I tend to have a pretty malleable opinion or thoughts on things. I will listen to things, even if I find it to be not likely trustworthy or believable. But as you sit there and watch, some of these guys are like, I got banned from YouTube, support me here. And like, that's a rallying cry. That's something that gets them money, gets them eyeballs. So if I believe something and caused an action and it was negative, then I would think about it there's all these things that you kind of grow up with and that you believe that other people have the same framework that you're operating on. And you find out at some point that no one does. Not one person does. And so then when that happens, that's part of the reason why I have the live stream, part of the reason why I have the podcast. I bring you my perspective from my belief system, and then you can choose to, be on the same page with me or not. But it's, to me, a much more honest way to go about things. I don't mean to be cryptic, but anyway, I have thought about DuckDuckGo, and did I do the wrong thing? Did I act too swiftly in my banning them from everything that I do? No, I have thought about it, and no, the answer is I don't think so. And it's true for everything. Look, if you're a company, say a major athletic clothing company, okay, and you are, say you're the number one athletic clothing company in the world, okay, athletic apparel, and say you happen to gain, you have the ability to go to terrible places in the world and use slave labor to produce your athletic apparel. The best thing, you're already a horrible company at that point, okay? But the thing that you learned to do in the last 10 to 15 years is to jump in on social strains that are already existing in the United States and pull those strings to your advantage. So when someone comes at you for Chinese slave labor, you come back with oppression. You come back with racism in the United States. See how it's done? Now all of a sudden we're watching our own issues rather than worried about the company. That is causing the society to really, really get upended, because it's no longer just about buying athletic apparel. Now all of a sudden there's this whole thing about this company that's so evil. And if you're a 20-year-old kid, you're too stupid to know. For the most part, you have no idea what's going on in the world, and that's okay. Like, ignorance is bliss, right? You just want to look cool on a Friday night. You don't care what's going on. Nothing at all. And it's really, really wild to see. It's really, really wild. And because, you're going out with your friends, you really want to make a political statement about X, Y, and Z? No, you just want to wear a nice shirt that looks good, right? It's a bizarre world. But anyway, you get to the point where these companies are so big that when you do get rid of one, they don't notice. Oh, they'll gain and lose 1 million people in a day. You really don't matter. So the vote with your wallet thing, I don't know if that's going to work so well. And I'm not advocating for worse. I'm just trying to explain how I'm thinking about things and how I look at things. Anyway, that's that. I do have some other topics to go over before we get really heavily into it. One of those is search and how I set it up and how it's a little bit different, and why I do what I do. So whenever a buyer contacts me and they want to start looking at houses and we've got a pre-approval, we set up a search in my system. Now, my search is a little different than what you would find on Realtor.com or Zillow. It's pretty intense. But at the same time, the user experience is better on Zillow or Realtor.com in that you can click and see pictures better, navigate better, things of that nature. Now, you're not going to get the information faster than you will from my MLS, from my real estate board, because we produce the information and then it gets, sent out. So I've seen where, I'll put in a listing at say 10 o'clock in the morning and it's active and it's in my system and it's going to all the people that subscribe to my stuff. And yet it won't hit like realtor.com or Zillow until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. It's not a criticism of those platforms. All I'm saying is that the MLS information wise right now is much, much better and probably will always be better than Zillow or realtor.com. Some weird things happen on those sites. A house will go under contract and they will keep it listed because they want, eyeballs on the site, whereas it doesn't really do any good for me, so I'll pull it. So, I just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on my search. And so now that I do that, then what I'll normally do is I will normally set searches to show up either every night at 6 o'clock or every morning at 8 o'clock. And the reason why I do that is because it kind of, for me, it makes things a lot easier. I look at every single email I get for listings. I have the ability to have it real time, to send it to people real time. So let's say a listing goes active in Baldwin. Okay, I can have it so that that the listing that went active in Baldwin just showed up in your search, and it will send you an email the minute that it goes active or the minute that it goes coming soon. The problem with that is I got like more than 20 searches going, so I get probably 50 emails on search every day. It's kind of okay if they're in the morning, but if they go all hours of the night, like some people put in listings at like 2 a.m, they're night people, some agents. So you'll start getting emails at 2 a.m. and things. And I find that to be unseemly because, I want time off at night. I want to sleep. I don't want to be bothered by a listing. But what I've been running into in this market is a very odd phenomenon. Most people understand that, look, just because something goes coming soon, there's nothing I can do about it. What happens is if something goes coming soon, they say, hey, John, this looks interesting. When can we see it? I'll go in. It won't be active for another week and a half. So I'll have to set a reminder in my calendar to go look at it then, because no one has their schedule for a week and a half out. So we can't really schedule anything. So about the day before it goes active, I'll set up a showing. I'll get back with the people and set up a showing. But in that case, I just want you to understand, it doesn't matter if you get the listing at the minute that it comes active or the minute that it comes to the search or the morning after. And so I've had 2 clients that have been like, they'll send me stuff from Zillow and they're like, why didn't I get this? And it's not going to show up until the next morning. That's why you didn't get it. They're like, oh, you're hiding. And then I've had people say, oh, you're hiding listings from me. No, believe me. I gain nothing by hiding listings from you. Nothing. So I don't hide listings. I think that's dumb. I would never restrict listings for my buyers. There's no point. Now we could get into the commission context now. If we have a written buyer's agreement that you're agreeing to pay me X and someone's offering a commission less than that, I will tell you up front, like, hey, this is below what my commission is. We'll need to figure out a solution around this. That's all. But there's just something about certain people really, really like to have the listing first. They don't like to wait. And I default to the everyday searches, but if someone does what these 2 different buyers are doing, then I'll change it. And I did. So that's done. Now, one final thing on local real estate that I'm not familiar with anywhere else. But there's a house in St. Louis City and we wrote an offer on it. We did not get it. There was a house coming up in the same street coming soon. It was coming soon status, not to be active until this weekend. Friday, the showings were supposed to start. House went yesterday to active under contract, meaning there's a contract on the house that no one has seen, or by the rules, no one has seen. So I want to go over that because I think it's important to understand what's going on in the marketplace. So now we have ethics in real estate. Now you say, well, who's ethics? But we do have ethics and we have rules and we have a set. So here's how coming soon is supposed to work. Coming soon is you're not allowed to show the property to anyone. You are allowed to announce that the listing is coming, and you're supposed to put an expected date. That gets it into the MLS and gets it all over the realtor.com and everything. Okay. But again, you're not allowed to show the house. You're not allowed to schedule showings. When a property goes active, you are allowed to schedule showings, and that is the best for the real estate industry, because everybody gets to go see the property. The more people that see the property, the better the house, or the more likely the house will sell for a good price. You can disagree with that thought. You're free to. I in practice, I refuse, based on what I've seen, to ever want to restrict listings to only certain sets of people. I think that's stupid. I think it breeds mistrust amongst real estate agents and their clients over time. Anyway, so we've got this house that comes to the market, or that comes, well, to the market in the sense that it's coming soon. There's a few photos of it, and now all of a sudden it went active with a contract. Now, how did that happen? Well, an agent called that other agent, a buyer's agent called that other agent and said, hey, I will offer you this much amount above asking for this property. Will you, and you're required to give all, send all offers to your client. So you do that. And then if they say yes, it's active. I mean, it's under contract. Now, what do you, like, if you're the buyer, is that smart for you? No, not really. Not really. And the reason why is, you haven't seen the inside of the house. And if you do set it up so that it's contingent on nothing, where you've taken all your contingencies out, you don't have any inspections or anything like that, and now you don't like the house, you're on the hook. You're losing your escrow money. I'm not saying that from a legal perspective. I'm saying that from just a real estate perspective. Now, that's dumb. Now, as a seller, do you take this offer that someone gives you instead of going to the open market? No. Why? Because you'll get many more buyers coming through to buy the house at a higher price. So that's dumb. It's dumb. Any real estate agent that tries to convince their client that it's better to take an offer before anyone else has seen the house is not acting in the client's best interest. Now, what if the house comes back on the market? Do I show it to my buyers? It depends. I don't particularly trust the agent, the listing agent on this deal. I don't trust them based on their actions that I've just witnessed. So I don't know. I would prefer to work with more admirable agents, more ethical agents than this particular person, because I'm negotiating with someone that I have no respect for. So there's that. Now, I had another thing happen to me yesterday. We were looking at a house that was a fix and flip. The buyer said that it wasn't a fix and flip. I said, yes, it is. Here's the tax records to prove it. And what they had done is they had taken the listing and expired it, and then the people bought it the next day. Slimy. Why did they do that? They didn't want the price they don't want the price shown in the tax records, because I believe they bought it for like 86 or 87,000, and they've listed it for 255,000. So it's a fix and flip. And why would they do that? Why would people be unethical? Because to agents, to buyers, to sellers, the shortest distance to the money is of the utmost importance to them. If they can make a quick buck versus make a buck, they want the quick buck. Do I think that I've lost listings because of my ethics? Yes. My perceived ethics. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you're working with me, you know that I'm trying to do things by the book. And if you're trying to be squirrely or trying to do something that's not by the book, then you're not going to call me, because I'm not going to do it. You've seen me, and you know that I'm just not that person. So I do lose listings, and I do lose. On the buyer side, I typically do okay, but on the listing side, I definitely don't do as well as I could because of my ethics. And my ethics are just straight from what the MLS is, or what my realtor board says. I'm not outside of the, I'm the only thing that we really have a disagreement on. There's a lot of things we have disagreement on, but the main disagreement that I have is the National Association of Realtors believes that buyer love letters are a violation of the Fair Housing Act. And my stance is that they're not a violation of the Fair Housing Act. And if there is instances of racism and sexism and all kinds of the other isms, it's being done on a level that is seller and buyer specific. And it's not because of the letter. It's because that's the way those people are. I say those people, meaning those people that do bad things, restrict showing houses to, or selling houses to certain groups and things of that nature. It's not the love letter that's the problem. It's the person, and you're not fixing the problem by banning a love letter. Why would you do that when it gives some benefit to a buyer that may not otherwise be able to afford a home? Stupid. So I disagree, but I have stated that. You know what I'm thinking. I've told you ahead of time. This is what I think about this practice, and I disagree with those who think otherwise. In this day and age, 2022, maybe in 1920, we could go on this basis, but not now. So those are the things I wanted to mention specific to my local market today. I wanted to go over the Google Trends article. Let's get into it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might read it straight. So Netflix is doing this thing where they glorify criminals. It's sensationalism, and so it sells. But I don't know what's going on, so I just saw this on Google Trends, and I wanted to bring it to you because it's kind of fascinating. If you want to capitalize on this kind of stuff, it's fine. We all kind of do. If I read an obituary, if somebody passed away, I'm capitalizing on that person dying. I don't want to be. I want to be respectful, but at the same time, that's what it is. So this is not. I don't want you to think that Netflix is a terrible company because of this. There's other things that Netflix done that's not great, but anyway. It says, bad vegan, what happened to Sarma Melgailis and where is she now? It says, Bad Vegan, Fame, Fraud, Fugitives is the latest true crime documentary to land on Netflix. The 4-part series delves deep into the jaw-dropping true story surrounding vegan restaurateur Sarma Melgailis and her then-husband, Anthony Stranges. Okay, so, but what I wanted you to understand is we know that Hollywood is able to promote things in a way that we just can't. And so one of the ways they're doing that is they've managed to make the Netflix PR team comes out with, hey, this is a wonderful thing coming out on our platform. Here's what it's about. Okay. And you send that to the press, and then you hope you have like compliant press that will write articles about it. In this case, it has to have worked. And I'll say, here's why. I was watching Netflix last night, and I don't remember this particular documentary on my screen. I was looking for a certain thing that I got, but now if you look at Google, like I said, 100,000 more searches yesterday than previous, trending. Well, how did they do that? Well, they released the information, and then the story is captivating, and the press took it upon themselves to write articles about this. Now, there's probably 50 different articles about this all across the way. I picked Newsweek's article because of the way they went about it. But anyway, let's look into this. So it says between 2012 and 2014, this woman transferred Strange $1.7 million after he conned her into believing he needed protection and that he could make her dog Leon immortal. So is she dumb? No. Did she get duped? Yes. Do I feel sorry for her? Probably not. Because again, $1.7 million, I don't have $1.7 million. However, in the end, she ultimately found herself on the run from authorities, facing charges including second-degree grand larceny, second-degree criminal tax fraud, and first-degree scheme to defraud. It says the former New York restaurateur is from Newton, Massachusetts. In 2004, she opened the high-end restaurant Pure Food and Wine with famed American chef Matthew Kenny and investor Jeffrey Chodorow. In 2005, Kenny left Pure Food and Wine, and their professional and personal relationship ended. So she was dating this man, and they opened a restaurant. She then met a man by the name of Shane Fox on Twitter via Alec Baldwin. However, Fox was unfortunately not who he said he was. Fox was, in fact, Anthony Strange's, a convicted criminal and con artist who once impersonated a police officer. Okay, and so it says, over a lengthy period, despite knowing his criminal history, Strange's was able to convince Melgailis that he worked in black ops and as a result had to keep the small details of his life a secret. At first, she loaned him a few $1,000s, believing he needed financial help. However, things started to change for the worst, and Strange began asking for more and more money. When she questioned his financial demands, he would aggressively yell at her over the phone, some of which appear in the documentary. He also told her that everything he was doing was a test of trust and faith and promised everything would eventually make sense. So it's a con job. It's a con job. It says he convinced her to hand over all her passwords and private information, told they needed to be encrypted because of his high security job working for the Family, a U.S.-based religious and political organization. He also promised he'd soon be able to make her beloved Pitbull Leon immortal and guarantee her huge success with Pure Food and Wine. Now, I don't know if she's gullible. You'd think that if they could make a dog immortal, I'm just going on what I think. If they could make a dog immortal, you'd think they could make people immortal. Yeah. And then guarantee her huge success with Pure Food and Wine. Now, I think she was pretty successful in the sense that she had money to make payroll. It says to meet his demands, she began using money from Pure Food and Wine under the belief Strange would pay her back. However, in reality, he was gambling away the money in casinos. In the end, he ultimately conned her out of millions of dollars and eventually took control of her vegan food business. I think this is misprinted. This should say Melgailis. Says an indictment of the suspects accuses them of transferring more than $1.6 million from bank accounts, spending $80,000 at specialty watch realtors, more than $70,000 in hotels in Europe and New York, and more than $10,000 on Uber car rides, details the official indictment. As a result of the dwindling funds, she was unable to pay her employees and had transferred thousands of dollars from the business accounts to her personal account. Well, that seems good. According to the DA's office, they defrauded 84 workers up to $3,500 each. The staff walked out for the second time in a year over the unpaid wages in January 2015, and both Pure Food and Wine and its sister restaurant, One Lucky Duck, closed. It says the strikes concerned investors, some of whom contacted the police after she had acquired investments under false pretenses, and a warrant was soon issued for their arrest. They went on the run for 10 months, facing charges of second-degree grand larceny, second-degree of criminal tax fraud, and first-degree scheme to defraud. In 2016, they were arrested in Sevierville, Tennessee, on several charges of fraud when he ordered a pizza under his real name. In addition to the fugitive from justice warrants, he was wanted for grand larceny, scheme to defraud, and violation of labor law. She was wanted for grand larceny, criminal tax fraud, scheme to defraud, and violation of labor. They both faced up to 15 years in prison. I like how they do that. They faced up to. They both took plea deals. She took one, and she served 4 months in prison. You face up to 15 years. You plead it down to 4 months. And then when she filed from divorce from Strange several months later. So she was married to this fellow based on what it says. So this was more than like, I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. In January 2019, the New York Post revealed she had an affair between February 2017 and 2018 with her defense attorney, which to me would seem to be unethical. It said at the time both were married. She told the New York Post she did not know he was married with 2 children at the time. He said, the lawyer said it's a deeply personal matter and my life and behavior have not always been perfect, but you're a lawyer. And let's be honest, lawyers are pretty much trash. I mean, they're right up there with, my profession, if you want to be that way, and politicians. So that when people grow up and they say, I want to be a lawyer, it's kind of like, yeah. Today, she's living outside of New York with her dog. She's working on her memoir. In February 22, she was recording a podcast. This girl, or this woman, I apologize, really knows how to market herself. I don't know. What do you think? Did they do a good job in promoting it so that you want to go watch the series? I think so. I kind of want to watch it, but I don't know. I don't like to get tripped up by things. That's just me though, right? See my emails, like I got these now, I've got them real time. And it's just going to be just all over the place all the time. It's just going to drive me insane. But whatever. She and he are happy. Okay, so let's go on to, let's look at some luxury properties. So have you ever been to Chesapeake, Virginia? I've heard the name. I've never been there. But I do want to look at the real estate. So there's 3 houses. Let's look at this one first. It's $1.6 million, 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, a 4,000 square foot house on a 23-acre lot. The house was built in 1965. It's been on the market 207 days. It says a must-see rare opportunity to own a magnificent cedar log home resting on over 23 sprawling acres of prime real estate in the heart of Great Bridge, Chesapeake. Total seclusion and privacy with front iron security gate, video security system, and full wood rebar fence surrounding the entire property. You will love the vaulted exposed beam ceilings and beautiful Italian chandelier. Over 4,000 square feet with 5 spacious bedrooms with 4 fully tiled bathrooms. That's an interesting thing. Top of the line geothermal heating and cooling. Primary bedroom with loft and walk-in attic. 2-car detached garage with additional 3-car port storage shed. Greenhouse and powered barbecue pit. Zoned agricultural for horses. Central location 20 minutes to downtown Norfolk, or about an hour to the Outer Banks. Nearby several bases, the buildable acreage can be subdivided as desired to build several homes and is a rare opportunity for builders. Be sure to watch the video link. So it's a play on either. Been listed since 2019. It's a play on either a new development or the house itself. I personally, on the first photo, would like to see a picture of the front of the house. And we don't see that until the 6th picture. It's a wonderful oasis. I mean, there's no question. To me, this is beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. I don't know that I would want to tear this down and build a bunch of homes that aren't going to be nearly as wonderful as this one. Now, fully tiled, I don't know if, that's not tile there and that's not tile there, but whatever, right? But it's beautiful. That's not, right? It's dated. But there's a lot to love about this house. I'm not so sure I know what's going to happen. They've done a fine job of like, here's the property. There's 2 pictures of on the maps. So yeah, that's nice. Let's look at the next one. Again, the front of the house isn't being shown. This is 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths in Chesapeake, Virginia. No. 68 days in the market, built in 2000. Almost heaven. 38 plus acres of lush landscaping and pasture. Large outdoor and covered riding rings, 10 stall stable, plus 3 floating stalls. All the amenities you're looking for in this beautifully maintained, pristine equine farm. And so much more, built with love and attention to detail in every area. Greenhouse, 2 large metal buildings, 50-foot enclosed motor home parking, stock fish pond, whole house generator powers all buildings, beautiful 5-bedroom, I think it's 5-bedroom, it says 5-berm, construction home, and so much more. Don't miss this amazing property. Why are you yelling at me in all caps? It listed in 2021 for 1.688 million. It's down to 1.645 million. They should put the acreage in the listing, and the first picture should be that of the house. Let's see the house. I mean, I'm thinking this house is like a $400,000 or $500,000 house without the land. That's pretty terrible. This was a bad job here. Do better with your staging. And this got depressing all of a sudden. I mean, why did you need to put this there? Here's a picture of my crap. It's just bad photography. And then there's the house, but do we know where it is? I mean, do we know what land this is? Not helpful. I'm just going to say it like I'm not a horse person, but that horse has a coat. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, is it a nice house? Yes. Do I need a picture of this? No. No. Does this help me? No. Not helpful. It looks like they're racing cars. But I could be wrong. So I got nothing. This kind of helps me if I could read it, if I could magnify it. And then we've got this house. This is a normal plain house, right? Boy, they've just got pop-ups everywhere this morning. 1.45 million. Now, you're going to have a tough time convincing me that this house is going to be better than the other two. To me, land always beats the house. How long has it been listed? It's been listed since 2021 of July. 50 pictures. Let's just take a look. I don't know that I'm going to spend too much time on it. It's got a hot tub. It's got a pool. All right. Nice outdoor area, which you have to have these days. Overlooking a lake with other homes, right? There's the arrow that tells me what I'm looking at. I mean, this is a $1.4 million house. Based on everything we've seen, it's a pretty house. I'd rather have the other houses. I'd rather have the land. You say, well, it's not close to town. It's like, it's okay. I mean, good for people that they can buy houses like this. And I mean, this is a beautiful view. Is this worth 1.6 million, $1.4 million? I don't know. You tell me. But anyway, those are the three houses. I'm going to keep going because I'm interested in some of the other topics. Now, again, I can't say this enough. This Mike Del Prete, I don't know his last name. He's a visiting professor like at Boulder, Colorado, I believe. I might have screwed that up, but anyway, he is really on it with explaining the new business models that are in real estate and how they, how they can, how they're, I don't know how to put it. Let's just get in the article. So it says iBuyer sales to investors soar, and that's my concern with the iBuyer program is okay, you buy these houses. And then they're not being sold to the public. They're being sold to investors. Now, do they, should they be, good Lord, should they be sold back to residents? Well, I worry that we're in the Carvana model for houses where a large company controls a lot of inventory and then they're allowed to set pricing, and that pricing is not advantageous to the consumer. Price fixing is never advantageous to the consumer, in my opinion. The major iBuyers sold approximately 20% of their inventory directly to investors in 2021, more than double the previous high in 2019. Now, let's be honest, Zillow ate it. So maybe they had to. It says why it matters. These sales, a growing part of the iBuyer business model, mainly occur off market, meaning traditional home buyers never see them, and most of them are subsequently turned into rental properties. And this is true. This is why it matters. He's right on top of it. It says by the numbers, this amounts to nearly 8,000 sales in 2021, a relatively small number, but one that has quadrupled since 2019. Even though the number is small, it still matters, especially to the thousands of families that missed out on the opportunity of home ownership. He's exactly right. Now, this man is not anti-business. Okay, he's not anti anything. He's just pointing out that this could be a problem. So it says by the numbers, this amounts to nearly 8,000. I'm sorry. So here's the chart. Now, all three of the major iBuyers sold significant portions of their inventory to institutional investors in 2021, with Open Door leading the pack. Now, Open Door in my market, I'm just going to tell you what they've done in my market. They have bought houses for more than what most people would pay, at least investors. And then what they've done is they're leaving them sit for like many, many days on the market at a stupid price that no one would pay. Now you say, well, what kind of business model is that? Well, they're into the house. Even though they bought it for more than any of the other investors would pay, they still bought it at a discount. And so I suspect that many of these homes, they buy houses that are really terrible. And I suspect that they're just waiting. They'll wait to a set amount of time, maybe 60 days, 90 days, and they'll flip that thing to an investor. That's how they'll do it. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I don't like the idea of selling to investors over the public. First, I believe the public should always have a shot at the property. And I'm really worried about price fixing. It says, the big picture, investors bought a record numbers of homes in 2021, not just from iBuyers. Last year, investors bought nearly 1 in 7 homes sold in America's top metropolitan areas, the most in at least 2 decades. These purchases come at a time when would-be buyers across the country are seeing wildly escalating prices, raising the question of what impact investors are having on prices for everyone else. Well, it's raising that question. Politicians have done nothing. They've not said a word about it. Fast forward, Open Door's IPO document set a goal of buying and selling upwards of 140,000 houses a year. Selling 20% to investors amounts to nearly 30,000 houses being sold each year straight to investors. Taking inventory off the market, turning them into rentals, and reducing home ownership opportunities aren't part of the iBuyer narrative, but that's what's happening. And this is true. We're branding house flippers, corporate house flippers, into good things when this cannot be a positive thing. Selling to investors may be a sound business decision, but there are real-world implications that directly affect thousands of American families. Is the American dream to own your own home? That's what George Bush said in the 2000s. Okay. How did that turn out? It didn't turn out very well at the end. I just want to give credit to this fellow. It says, Mike is a global real estate tech strategist and a scholar in residence at the University of Colorado Boulder, internationally recognized as an expert and thought leader in real estate tech. Evidence-based analysis is widely read by global leaders, and he's sought after strategy and new ventures consultant. His research and insights have been featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, and The Economist. But anyway, he's on it. He's on it. So, interesting. I don't like this situation, and I don't know what to do about it. I'm all for free markets, right? But taking away the option of having something that you own, like you will own nothing and like it. It's already kind of getting that way. Let me stop for a second and just explain my concern with everything is, like, I have my phone, right? And I own it. I bought it. It was like, I don't know, $800. It was stupid amounts of money. If Apple wants to turn off my phone tomorrow, they can. Like, I got nothing, even though I paid for it. That's not a good thing. So that's why you'd want to own something. Like, if I own a Ford tractor from 1970, it's mine. I can do with it what I want. If I want to fix the tractor, I can. If I want no one's coming to put a kill switch on my tractor and keeping me from having it for wrongthink. Like they want to have this, they want this technology in automobiles coming up, and they say it's for safety. And we've talked about safety and how we always couch things in safety because that's how we take away the rights of others. But I mean, we're seeing that you aren't going to own anything, like, and to the point where if the government does make cryptocurrency like their own, if they take the dollar and make it crypto. Look what happened to the truckers in Canada. They had their bank accounts frozen. Do you think that they won't do that to you? So even the cash, even your earnings won't be yours in this new society. Quite concerning on a number of fronts. It's just bad. And I hope that my nightmares are not the future. Next article, how Russia-Ukraine war could affect U.S. housing and the economy. Do I trust? Who wrote the article? Let's see. Okay, I don't have it. It's not from Lawrence Yun. So I don't know what he's thinking. Normally and no offense to him, he's pro the organization he works for. So that's not a criticism. It's just kind of the way I see it. It says, Russian airstrikes battered Ukraine cities this week, and the conflict is being felt around the globe. Financial markets worldwide likely will feel the impact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the largest military operation in Europe since World War II. Economists are warning that the U.S. housing market should brace from some possible changes in consumer behavior. So tell me what those changes might be. What can I see? It says the luxury real estate market may feel the disruption at the most, as financial resources home buyers used to pay for home purchases, such as stock and cryptocurrency, have been volatile since the conflict began. Just understand that statement. This will be the last article we go over to today, but listen, the luxury real estate market may feel the disruption the most as financial resources home buyers used to pay for home purchases, such as stocks and cryptocurrency, have been volatile since the conflict began. This is pretty much an open administration or an open admission that if you ever want to buy a stupid expensive property, it's got to be based on the fact that you can own a stock portfolio and earn significant gains. Stock portfolio, cryptocurrency. It's kind of fascinating. If you're just going to a normal job and working every day, you're not going to be able to buy a luxury home. The global unrest could also give American consumers the jitters and prompt them to cut back on spending and economic activities, the New York Times report. Now, I don't really particularly, I'm not a fan of the New York Times, but let's change this sentence around. The global unrest could give American consumers the jitters and prompt them to cut back on spending and economic activities. Okay, let's not vilify the American consumer when they have $5 gallon gas, when we've seen global wheat prices spike, when we've seen that Russia controls 20% of the world fertilizer market or more, or maybe it's 80%. They control a lot of the world fertilizer market. We've got serious inflationary pressures coming. And if you're right now just trying to make it, you've got problems coming because you have no disposable income. You will be digging into what minor savings you may have. And just from an economic perspective, listen, there's a reason why people don't save their money in banks. The return is nothing. The return has been nothing because the Fed has kept interest rates very, very low to try and quote unquote stimulate the economy. Over and over and over. We've been stimulating the economy over and over and over. Well, that ruins savings. Okay. So now can Americans dig into those savings to pay for the inflationary pressures that are coming? Probably not. I've not seen any statistics. Now, during 2007, 2009, we often saw average consumer credit bills. So like what's on an average credit card and average savings in banks. We've not seen that in this particular situation. It says, but aspiring home buyers in all price ranges may become more hesitant to make large purchases amid stock market uncertainty and fears how potential full-blown war in Europe might affect U.S. inflation, which is already at a 40-year high. Escalating inflation is hurting renters, buyers, and home builders who are facing rising construction costs. Realtor.com report. It's all bad for the economy and housing. It's just a matter of how bad. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, told Realtor.com. There's a number of different ways in which Russia's actions will hurt housing. I mean, I agree that Russia is the aggressor in the conflict, but Ukraine, NATO, China, the rest of the world is not free from blame in this conflict. The conflict could put more pressure on rising oil and food prices, which in turn could weigh more heavily on consumers' household budgets. Russia is the second largest oil producer in the world, and although the U.S. imports little Russian oil, the conflict could roil global energy markets. If oil prices go up, that raises costs throughout the economy. It means more inflation. Yes. Higher oil and gas prices will likely affect home heating costs and cause even more global supply chain disruptions, which are being felt widely in the home building industry. Inflation and supply chain problems likely will prompt even higher construction costs. Prices for construction materials have already climbed 22% annually because of inflation. According to the National Association of Home Builders, lumber prices have jumped 40% over the past 13 weeks alone. Higher material costs coupled with higher mortgage rates, which are likely looming in the next few weeks, will hamper housing affordability. Housing mortgage rates will slow home buying demand over the course of 2022, and the Russia-Ukraine crisis will add short-term volatility to the bond market, says Robert Dietz, the National Association of Home Builders chief economist. None of this looks good. None of this looks positive. And I mean, it's not good. It's not good at all. I'm concerned. All right. Let's go back to the base frame. Look, we had a great show. Informative. Not as funny as I'd like. I like humor. I like to laugh. And some of the stuff is so serious. So it's kind of frustrating. But, you know, I'm in a business where we buy and sell homes. We help buyers and sellers with their home purchases and home sales. We should be always looking at the macro economy, and we should be as honest as we can with our people. Like, look, if you want to sell a house, sell it now, right? If you don't have to buy another one, if you have to buy a house, it's tough. And all you have to know is that it's tough. It doesn't matter that Russia is a problem or that the Ukraine is a problem. It doesn't matter that gas prices are a problem. It doesn't matter that inflation is a problem. All you need to worry about is the fact that it's hard to buy a house right now. It's hard to buy a house. And we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And that's okay. Well, what you need to do when you're looking to buy a house is, can you find shelter for your family that you actually like and that you can afford and you can be happy in for years to come? That's on the buyer side. On the sale side is, can you get the maximum amount for your property in the current market conditions to where you've done a good thing, and you've bought a house and you've got equity and you're able to perhaps make some money on a deal. That'd be positive. So anyway, with that, I'm going to head on out. I'm getting texted and whatnot. I have part 2 of the podcast today about real estate myths you might want to know about. If you haven't subscribed to any of my channels, I'd appreciate it if you did. Thank you for subscribing already, if you have. And I'm going to head out. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. It'll be Friday. Would it be Friday? It will be Friday.